Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Track Titan Community Race Series. Here we are at Mugello in Italy. It's round 11 of Season 5, and tonight we're going to be taking on the Audi Sport Quattro Group B cars. A very interesting combination, it has to be said. Mugello, an asphalt circuit with Group B rally cars designed for, gravel and snow, but nonetheless, that's what we're racing tonight. It should be exciting, it should throw out some interesting racing, and I sure hope it does, because I am all on my Jack Jones tonight. Just me in the comments box, no Spitzlam tonight, no Ryan alongside me. Ryan is out racing. Spitzlam is away at a concert. Selfishly, he has a life, and he has left me all on my lonesome, as I said. Driver's already out on the track for qualifying, so let's head over to the live shots of the track and we shall see where the drivers are standing currently. Nicholas Sharon is on your screen right now. Polish driver coming around. He was doing very well in practice. Top of the times in practice. Really seems to be dialed in with this Audi Sport Quattro. Currently, the drivers only on their first few laps. 6 minutes left of qualifying, so they've only really had a chance to get round for maybe one out lap and a decent, maybe one decent lap if they're lucky. And as a result, the times are not quite yet down to where we'd expect them to be. Let's take a look back at the results from the Hot Lap Challenge that took place this week, of course. The fastest lap time was set by Henry Comsey, the Audi man himself. Fastest lap time was a 1:58.647. And none of the drivers are anywhere near that at the minute, but we should expect the times to come down to that very soon. Lucas Gulukjek puts in the first fast lap of the day, a 2-minute 1:820. We should expect times much lower than that. Lucas indeed didn't put in a lap time in the weekly qualifying session by the looks of it, so he's coming into this fresh. So a 2-minute 1 on your first decent lap is not too bad. Not too bad, Lucas, so well done. Let's jump on board Nicholas Sharon and we'll see what a lap looks like. Henry Comsey, with the current fastest lap time, he put in a 1:59.668, and Nicholas Sharon crosses the line 1:59.424, currently on pole position. And here we are with your pole sitter, Nicholas Sharon, braking deep into this first corner. Look how early he has to brake in this car. The brake's definitely not made for this sort of circuit. Nice tight line around the first corner there, smashing up the gears and then lifting off as you come through this first S here. It's like a wide chicane here at Mugello, this first complex, and then down this short straight before what is essentially the exact same again. Braking deep. Look how the car's nose dives down towards the braking zone there. Touching the curves perfectly here, Nicholas Sharon, getting his lines all right and running the car right to the edge of the exit curb there. Down the hill now. Right-hander into a left-hander, lifting off and coasting for a lot of this circuit. It's clearly a very understeery car. And then into the first of the two right-handers here at the top of the circuit. Arrabbiata 1 and 2. Round the second right-hander here, over the crest of the hill, and then you've got to brake quite early as you are in a downhill braking zone here for Scarperia. Palagio next, round the left-hand corner as he's tailing Andrew Glegg, trying to capture some of that slipstream and gain a couple tenths here and there, getting on the entry curb there, and then diving in for quite a narrow line here into Correntiao, the wide hairpin right at the back of the circuit here. And then we've got the fast-flowing Biondetti section here, a very, very quick S. You've got to lift off in these cars, something which we certainly didn't see last time we were out here at Mugello in the Formula cars. And then we reach the final hairpin of the circuit. It's Buccini lifting for what feels like 50% of the lap here. Finally powering out of the corner, using some of the exit curb there, just touching it with your right hand wheel, powering down the start finish straight. Nicholas Sharon still on pole position. Let's see if he can improve that his lap time. He does, goes even quicker, 1:58.759. No one has the answers to Nicholas Sharon right now, and he is absolutely flying in the Audi Sport Quattro. You will notice there's one man that's usually at the head of the field that currently isn't, and that's Nathan Alder. That's because he's not here tonight. Took a big leap towards winning the championship last week out, and this week he's gone to go watch the Indy 500, which is something I can entirely get behind, and I totally understand why he isn't here. Trust me, if I was watching the Indy 500, I probably wouldn't be talking to you right now as well, if I was out there in Indianapolis. So Nathan, if he does watch this back, hope you enjoy your time out in Indy, home of the best NFL team in the league. Go Colts. 2.5 minutes left in qualifying here. Nicholas Sharon still on pole position. Ryan Skywalker currently in second position. 6/10 back from Nicholas. Nicholas flying away at the front of the field. One driver who hasn't put in a valid lap time yet is Michel Rodriguez. He is out for which will be the final time this season. He's not going to be here for the next 2 weeks, so we won't be seeing Michel's lovely, lovely face for the next few weeks. And he is struggling in this car. Goodness me, round he goes. Put the camera on him and he spins. Gives us a bit of a show. Gets out of the way of Lucas Gulugczyk. Very well there. Well done, Michel. Henry Comsey was fastest in the weekly Hot Lap Challenge. He's kind of just pottering about at the minute. In third position, 9/10 down from the pole lap, and well, he certainly can be going quicker than what he is now. I know that for a certain, going off his weekly Hot Lap Challenge. There's my timer going off. I've got brownies in the oven, ladies and gentlemen, that need to be getting out. But I'll stick with you for the end of qualifying, of course. In my smooth jazz playlist racing. I don't know what I'm talking about now. Henry comes across the line, doesn't improve his lap time. Ryan Skywalker here at the back end of the circuit. Nicholas Sharon crosses the line alongside Andrew Glegg, doesn't improve his lap time. Andrew Glegg currently the fastest of the TKR boys. John Ford not quite matching him right yet in the JFA Automotive. Sorry, the JF Automotive, not JFA Automotive. That wouldn't make sense, would it? JF Automotive car. The bright blue, very iconic. Come to know it very well this season. And with a lovely license plate at the back of the car there for Gleggy. John Ford, likewise, in the bright blue. Round the first corner, sideways. Braking very deep. Not quite clipping the apex as he potentially would have wanted to there, John Ford. Currently running in 6th position. 1.5 seconds off the lead pace. .20 seconds left in qualifying. Nicholas Sharon is off the circuit. Ryan Skywalker still unable to improve on his lap time too much and close up that gap to Nicholas Sharon. So it really does look like Nicholas is going to run away with this pole position. Unless someone like Ryan or Henry can offer up some kind of challenge to that pole lap. The checkered flag flies. Ryan Skywalker certainly won't be improving his lap. And he goes into the pits. Michel Burstin crosses the line. He's in 9th position. Last 2 drivers to cross the line will be Keith Holt and Henry Comsey. Coming around the final corner now. Keith Holt out of the final corner. He's going to be powering down the start-finish straight here. Using the exit curve there. Banging through the gears as he comes across the line. Can Keith Holt move any higher than 7th position on the grid? Not yet. He doesn't improve on his lap time. Last driver to come around the track is Henry Comsey. Let's jump on board with him as he finishes this lap. Doesn't improve in his lap time. Stays in 3rd position. He's going to round out the 2nd row of the grid. And we're on to the race session. I'll come back for your grid in just a minute, ladies and gentlemen. Listen to some smooth jazz while I'm gone. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the verdict on the brownies, not yet cooked. I'm sure you were all eagerly awaiting the news there. We've got Nicholas Sharon on pole position for the race here at Mugello. Ryan Skywalker is going to line up alongside him. Behind him, Henry Comsey in 3rd position and Andrew Glegg rounding out the 2nd row. Max Newt back. 2 Finns, should mention that. Henry Comsey and Max Newt back for one race here. Good to see them back on the grid. Max Newt in 5th position with John Ford in 6th. Keith Holt in 7th. Lucas Gulugczyk in 8th. Michel Burstin in 9th. Michel Rodriguez in 10th. Little Skittle rounds out the grid. It's an Italian Little Skittle this time. It's Litlio Skittlini. And he's ready to try and move forward from the back row of the grid. You can only go forward if you're last. Come, let's see if Little Skittle is able to do just that off the line. 25 seconds on the clock for the drivers to get going. Max Newt has a very high ping. Somehow he's evading a kick, as the server does kick you if you have a ping above 300 for more than 30 seconds, but we'll see how that goes for him. Hopefully he doesn't cause any problems, and if he does, well, we know how we deal with that. 6 red lights about to go on for the drivers here. Nicholas Sharon from pole position. Ryan Skywalker alongside. Who's going to be first into the first corner? Lights out, away we go. Nicholas Sharon gets an awful start there. Henry Comsey and Andrew Glegg move through in the middle, and them two are going to be in the lead by the start of this race. Cameras looking awry as Nicholas Sharon leads into the first corner. Still somehow managed to get himself up through the gears and power into the first corner. Holds onto his lead button. Henry Comsey, no he doesn't, swipes around the outside. Takes that pole position away from Nicholas Sharon. Nicholas Sharon in second position, Andrew Glegg in third, John Ford in fourth, Ryan Skywalker's dropping through the order. Andrew Glegg tries to move down the inside of Nicholas Sharon, doesn't pay off, he drops back, but Nicholas manages to hold on. Neither of the drivers go around. John Ford has a sniff up the inside, but it doesn't work out for him. He drops a bit further back, Ryan Skywalker's alongside him, and the bumping. Oh, little Michelle Burstyn's backwards. Ryan Skywalker's off the circuit, he recovers himself, uses all the rallying pedigree of the Audi to keep it on the track. And they're just filtering through now after a bit of chaos in these first few corners. Michelle Rodriguez challenging Ryan Skywalker, trying to move forward. Lucas Gulacek holding on to that 5th position place. Michelle Rodriguez, Keith Holt, Ryan Skywalker and Lucas Gulacek all battling over 5th position. Henry Comsey still leading this race. John Ford in 4th. It's Andrew Glegg in 3rd. Nicholas Sharon in 2nd. The timing tower is lying to you, ladies and gentlemen. And the drivers at the front all just kind of line astern, figuring out where to start their battles, and then the big battle for 4th starts here. Halfway through this lap now, it's settled down just a touch. Ryan Skywalker sniffing up the inside of Lucas Gulacek there, trying to take the position away from him, but not quite going to happen this time round. Michelle Rodriguez defending from Keith Holt. Further ahead, John Ford and Andrew Glegg. Oh, what's that going on there for Ryan Skywalker? Slows right down as we cut away from him there. Drops back a position. And unfortunately, he is now in his 7th position. Lucas Gulacek on Michelle Rodriguez. Side by side in towards the final corner. Lucas Gulacek holding on to that 5th position. Keith Holt goes very wide and off the circuit in the final hairpin. Michelle Rodriguez takes a tighter line around the hairpin and then uses it to switch back on Lucas Gulacek. Ducks up underneath to get some of that slipstream. But look at the speed that Ryan Skywalker has. 3 drivers separated by barely a second here down the start-finish straight. Ryan Skywalker benefiting from a double slipstream down the start-finish straight here. But he's just unable to use it. The cars don't quite have the closing speed you'd expect them to have. Michelle Rodriguez breaking very deep into the first corner. Takes position away from Lucas Gulacek, but only just for a second. Lucas Gulacek with a fantastic defensive manoeuvre. Switches back, but then gives up position to Michelle Rodriguez. Oh, Michelle Rodriguez with a big slide. Lucas Gulacek gets tagged by him there. Michelle Rodriguez holds onto that 5th place position that he's just stole from the arms of Lucas Gulacek so neatly. And now Ryan Skywalker starts his attack on Lucas Gulacek as he looks up the inside of him. But Lucas Gulacek's going to hold that inside line. The driver's getting a little bit squirmy on exit there. Oh, Ryan Skywalker back end steps out, but he manages to gain the position from Lucas Gulacek by keeping his foot to the floor. Balls to the wall. Lucas Gulacek in 7th position. Ryan Skywalker in 6th. Now Ryan Skywalker starts the hunt for 5th position. Michelle Rodriguez is going to be looking in his mirrors and panicking because it's full of South African. Oh, and they nearly come together there as they come through Arabiata 2. But managed to holding on now. Max Newt joins the party. He's in this 4-car battle now as Keith Holt dropped off the back of them. Michelle Rodriguez in 5th, Ryan Skywalker in 6th, Lucas Gulacek in 7th, and Max Newt in 8th. Further forward, there's still a battle going on for the lead. Henry Comsey and Nicholas Sharon separated by only 0.3 of a second. Andrew Glegg and John Ford also not separated by too much. And then there's this battle once again firing up. Ryan Skywalker's taking the position away from Michelle Rodriguez as they come out of Corin Xiao. And then coming through the Biondetti S's here in towards the final corner. Ryan Skywalker's going to try and defend his line, hugging that inside line, tucking himself up against the curb. Breaking up, locking up his brakes a little bit, but Michelle Rodriguez isn't able to capitalise quite on that. Drops back from him even further. Keith Holt moving through because, that's Lucas Gulacek who's gone around in the final corner. He's dropped down to 9th position now. Keith Holt up into 8th. The lead battle remains very, very close. Locked at the horns. Henry Comsey deep into the first corner. Going to try and get the power down out of this corner. But here comes Nicola Sharin alongside him. On the outside, he's going to try and switch back. Coming out of Luco and into Poggio Secco. Henry Comsey's defending that line fantastically. Nicola Sharin going almost off the circuit to try and take the position away from him. But that's just going to slow him down a little bit. Onto the exit curb. An entry curve for Materazzi. Nicola Sharin looking for a way past Henry Comsey, but the more these two battle, the more Andrew Glegg closes in behind. You can see him putting a little bit of daylight between himself and John Ford behind. But they're not quite dropping back into his reaches yet. Henry Comsey still holding on to this lead, but very, very thinly. Nicola Sharin looking to capitalise. Max Newt has passed Michelle Rodriguez. That's because Michelle Rodriguez has gone for a spin on the exit of Savelli corner. Keith Holt also throwing him. Keith with a rare mistake the other lap, but now he's returned to form and he's just picking up positions where other drivers keep failing. Another position gained for the Austrian driver there in 7th position. Nicola Sharin now trying to start his attack on Henry Comsey. He's looking for any way past the finished driver, even putting almost 3 wheels off the circuit there. These cars are made for off-road, but that doesn't mean that you can overtake off the circuit. Henry Comsey defending like a lion, though, in the lead. He isn't going to want to lose because he loves this car. As you can probably tell from the fact that his Discord profile picture is a set of Audi Quattros, so I'm sure if he loses his lead in this car, excuse me, I think he'll be most displeased, so we'll be looking to hold on to this first place position. It's not going to be easy though with Nicola Sharin nipping at his heels. Andrew Glegg not far behind. John Ford ready to capitalise if anything happens ahead of him. Ryan Skauka puts in, I think, the fastest lap of the race there, 1:59.033. Oh, and inherits position. Oh, there we go. As I've been talking about drivers inheriting positions from other drivers' mistakes, Nicola Sharin has an adventure on the first corner, drops down 4 positions to 5th place. Ryan Skauka inheriting 1, John Ford and Andrew Glegg 2. And that gives Henry Comsey a little bit of relief. The sweat beads drying up on his forehead as he can look behind and see a little bit of clear air. He's no longer got a very angry Polish man in his mirrors. Andrew Glegg trying to close down Henry Comsey for the lead, but the driver's kind of a little bit spread out right now. John Ford getting tailed by Ryan Skywalker. We'll keep an eye on this for a minute. The battle really hotting up here for a 3rd position. Brownies have been recovered. It's a tricky one when you're solo commentating and trying to bake at the same time. John Ford holding on to 3rd position. Ryan Skywalker just closing the gap though steadily. Let's jump on board with him and see where he can gain on the British driver ahead of him. Headlights on full. You can see the shadow of the car on the exit of the corner there. Almost blinding himself on that bright, shiny, bright blue back of the Audi Sport Quattro. And you can see him really closing in on the British driver ahead of him now. Breaking a touch deeper into Luco there, coming through Poggio Secco, still tailing him, getting into that slipstream as they come down on the rush towards Casanova. Down the hill, Ryan Skywalker with a little bit of a correction there through Casanova on the entry and on the exit there, losing him time as he shifts down on the exit of the corner. Round Savelli trying to get a little bit more acceleration down than John Ford, just closing up that little bit every single corner. But John Ford managing the gap, staying ahead for now. Running quite wide on the exit of Arrabbiata 2 there. Into the tight chicane here of Scarperia into Pelagio. Interesting to see the different lines that are being taken there. Ryan Skywalker certainly seems to be a bit more advantageous as he closes up yet more to John Ford ahead. And is breaking in towards Corin Xiao now. Andrew Glegg still not a million miles up the road. He's going to be looking in his mirrors and watching this unfold. Oh! Ryan Skywalker has to shift down there. He really tried to sniff up the inside for a move, but I think just ended up losing out because he had to stamp on the brakes so as not to send himself and John Ford around. But he's still thinking about a move. He's closed right up to the back of John Ford there. The gap spread out to about 0.2 of a second and then instantly came back down there. Who's going to get the better exit off the corner? Definitely looks to be John Ford as he opens up the gap a little bit between himself and Ryan Skywalker down the start-finish straight. Nicholas Sharin, the fastest driver in qualifying, is closing in on this battle for third after he dropped out of second position with an incident in the first corner. Andrew Glegg breaking deep into the first corner. Same with John Ford, going for a bit of drifting. Ryan Skywalker sticking to his lines very well. But now Ryan has to be conscious that every time he looks in his mirror, he's got an angry Polish man. Just as Henry Comsey did a few laps ago. And the question is, will he brake? A change at the back of the pack. Because there's a fantastic battle here over 11th position, which has just come to a head. Littleo Skitolini and Michelle Burstin coming together on the exit of the first corner. Little Skittle potentially trying to defend a position a little bit too aggressively there. Sends Michelle around. And that'll be investigated by the marshals after the race. Battle between Keith Holt and Michelle Rodriguez still raging on. That's over 7th position. Michelle Rodriguez looking to regain positions that he lost by going for a spin early on this race. Keith Holt, though, as I said, as I wax lyrical about him every single week, he just sticks to his lines, doesn't mess up too much. And whilst he's not the fastest driver we have on the grid, he's probably one of the most dependable. I'd like to have him in the 24-hour team. That being said, here comes Michelle Rodriguez. The ever loose, ever ravenous Michelle Rodriguez with a loosey-goosey back end. Maintains that position ahead of Keith Holt there. Took the position away from him with a fantastic move around the outside. Ducking down to the inside and then holding that position around Corin Xiao. Lovely, lovely move from Michelle Rodriguez there to take 7th position away from Keith Holt. And it looks like that score is going to be settled for at least a couple laps. Unless we see a bit of sideways action from Michelle Rodriguez ahead of Keith Holt. As we indeed do. Who's going to get the better exit off this final corner here? Definitely going to be Michelle Rodriguez because Keith Holt's ran a little bit wide there, trying to get the power down a bit early. Understeers and loses a bit of time to Michelle Rodriguez there down the back straight. Michelle Burstin is back through on Little Skittle. And the battle for 4th remains tight, but not quite tight enough to be making a move. John Ford has opened up a little bit of a gap between himself and Ryan Skywalker, potentially as a result of Ryan Skywalker looking in his mirrors and seeing it's full of Nicholas Sharin. Nicholas looking to try and take this 4th, maybe even 3rd position away from Ryan Skywalker and John Ford. He'd love to get back up onto the podium after starting in 1st position, dropping down into 5th. To finish on the podium would be still a great achievement for the Polish driver. 2 minutes to go in this race. Michelle Rodriguez and Keith Holt still locked at the horns. Michelle Rodriguez not blinking yet. Ryan Skywalker past John Ford but braking far, far too deep. Loses a position again. John Ford back up into 3rd position. But Ryan Skywalker maybe just showing what he wants to do to John Ford there. Maybe a bit of mind games here as he makes a lunge that isn't going to work on John Ford. Maybe he's just to spook him, just to make him think, oh, Ryan might be making a move on me and make him mess up. Or potentially it's to bring Nicholas Sharin into the foray, which might cause a bit more chaos that someone like Ryan might be able to capitalise on. The man thrives on chaos. He's getting right up behind John Ford there. Exactly the same as a few laps ago, though. He had to stamp on the brakes to avoid a collision. And he's taken the first Biondetti all wrong there. In towards the final corner here of Puccini. 3 drivers locked at the horns. 1 minute remaining in the race. And it's a showdown for the final 2 laps over 3rd position here. Jump on board with Ryan Skywalker as he tries to tail down John Ford. We'll jump back to Nicholas Sharin as well, as he tries to tail down the pair of them. Who's gaining the most? Nicholas Sharon very close to Ryan Skywalker here as we're coming in towards the braking zone and braking a little bit deeper. Ryan Skywalker trying to get a nose up the inside of John Ford. Nicholas Sharon's got it all kinds of wrong. Andrew Glegg's got it even more wrong though. He's gone very wide into the gravel. John Ford in second position. Ryan Skywalker and Andrew Glegg side by side for third. And oh, it's all come to a head once again. Andrew Glegg trying to defend the position. Ryan Skywalker into the gravel, rejoining the circuit in fifth position. Nicholas Sharon into fourth position despite going very wide at the first corner. Still inherits one position. John Ford capitalises on his teammate's mistake, takes second position away from him, and now the TKR boys can do battle for the final 2 laps as Andrew Glegg looks to regain a bit of form, keep it on the circuit and take this position away from his TKR stablemate. Nowhere else on track is a battle as close as this. Only 11 drivers on circuit today, so the battles have been quite limited, but the racing has been top notch that we have seen. I say that like I didn't watch a driver just put another one off, but there has been some good driving today. I like to keep a good, upbeat note on things. John Ford still in second position though, Andrew Glegg in third. Henry Comsey still leading this race. He didn't blink when Nicholas Sharon was tailing him, looking to gain a position away from him. And he certainly isn't blinking now, out at the front of the pack, timing down to 0. Going to be starting the final lap, taking the white flag. Without problem. Behind him, the 2 blue flashes of John Ford and Andrew Glegg spit through your shot, and then Nicholas Sharon, one of the luckiest men on track today, inheriting positions even when he made his own mistake. Ryan Skywalker in 5th. Max Newt returning to form in 6th position. Not quite gelling with the Audi though. Not much like his fellow Finn in Henry Comsey. Michelle Rodriguez, with the man who doesn't practice, in 7th position. Keith Holt's in 8th and Lucas Gulagsek's in 9th. Michelle Burst and Little Skittle still quite close together, but Michelle with the upper hand for now. Final lap of the race. John Ford and Andrew Glegg still close together for that 2nd place position. Henry Comsey still in the lead. John Ford braking a bit deep, trying to keep ahead of Andrew Glegg here. Andrew Glegg seems to be a little bit desperate to get past his friend here, though, in John Ford. Runs a little bit wide there as he comes through Casanova. Down through Savelli. And into Arrabbiata 1. Andrew Glegg just not able to close up on John Ford there and running very, very wide as he comes to Arrabbiata 2. That surely is the position signed, sealed and delivered for Andrew Glegg. He's going to be stuck in 3rd position for the rest of this lap. I'm sure of it, as John Ford just doesn't seem to be making those mistakes that Andrew Glegg is. And we have a little bit of a battle here over 3rd position that's brewing, but it doesn't look like it's going to come to a head before the end of this race. If we had 5 more minutes, we might have seen it, but if we have 5 more minutes, I might have fallen asleep. Biondetti 2 for Henry Comsey, traversed with ease, round into the final corner for Boccini. Henry Comsey, the Iceman himself. Ryan Skywalker and Nicholas Sharon still duking it out over 5th and 4th position. Don't think there's going to be any major changes before the end of this race, unless Ryan Skywalker can make this one stick. He's down the inside of Nicholas Sharon. Henry Comsey's going to cross the finish line, take the lead of this race. He's finished in 1st position. Nicholas Sharon manages to hold off Ryan Skywalker right on the line. John Ford in 2nd position. Andrew Glegg in 3rd. Nicholas Sharon in 4th. Ryan Skywalker in 5th. And then it's Michelle Rodriguez in 6th position with Max Newt, Keith Holt and Lucas Gulagzek not far behind him. And then 2 more drivers to come through in the form of Michelle Burstin and Little Skittle here. They are on your screens. Coming through Biondetti 1 and 2 in towards Boccini. Michelle Burstin leading Little Skittle after they had a bit of a clash earlier on in this race. It's all friends in the end. Michelle finishes in 10th position. Little Skittle in 11th. And that concludes race 1 of the evening here at Mugello with the Group B cars. On to the second race for our drivers here today. following that first race finish. Little Skittle's going to line up on first position. Michal Bursting is going to line up alongside him in second. Lukas Gulacek is going to start out the second row with Keith Holt alongside him. Max Newt on the third row of the grid with Michel Rodriguez rounding out the third. Ryan Skywalker in seventh with Nicholas Sharon in eighth. Andrew Glegg in ninth. John Ford in 10th. Henry Comsey is going to start from the back of the grid following that race 1 win in 11th position. Interesting race, that first one. Interesting more in the sense that we saw some new drivers come towards the front. Or not new, in fact, old in the form of Henry Comsey. But certainly not interested in the racing, so hopefully the second race gives me a little bit more to get excited about, because at the minute all I'm excited about is the brownies. Brownie chat. Hashtag brownie chat in the chat, please. Little Skittles still looking at the lights. What is going to be going through his head right now, trying to get the most out of the start of this race. Nicholas Sharon didn't get a good start on that first race. He's going to be looking to revert that for this second race, or else he's going to be dropping back behind John Ford, Andrew Glegg and Henry Comsey. He's going to quickly end up last and back of the pack if he doesn't get that good start. Michal Bursting, his fellow pole, going to be trying to get a decent start there from the outside row of the front row. And trying to get alongside Little Skip before the first corner starts, potentially make the move in towards the first corner under braking. Lukas Gulacek and Keith Holt as well, both going to be looking to capitalise on some first lap chaos. We'll see how that goes. The engine notes are starting to rise steadily. The drivers' throttle foot is getting itchy. They're ready to go here at Mugello. The 6 red lights are about to go on for the drivers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 red lights on for the drivers. Little Skill from pole. Michal Bursting from second position. Lights out. Away we go. Michal Bursting gets a terrible, terrible start off the line there. Little Skittle flying away in the lead of the pack. This camera angle does not show us too much. We're going to see who comes over the crest in first. It's Little Skittle, and then it's 3 wide behind him. Keith Holt, Lukas Gulacek, and Max Newt in fourth position there, trying to get down the inside. There's a driver round in the first corner there, going sideways. Little Skittle's already thrown it all away by the first corner. He just can't hold on to a lead to save his life. Keith Holt manages to get himself up into second position ahead of Max Newt, but here comes Max Newt with a bit of acceleration in towards Poggio Secco. Takes a position away from Keith Holt, but they're still going to be side by side in this short dash down towards Materazzi. Lukas Gulacek leading the race. Michel Rodriguez up the inside of Max Newt and Keith Holt, trying to take 2 positions in one. Not going to happen this time round though. Keith Holt keeping it steady up into second position. Andrew Glegg is round into the wall at the back of your shot there. You can see him in the Tech Pro barrier there. Unfortunate for the British driver. Michel Rodriguez has inherited third position with some fantastic racecraft coming through Casanova. Max Newt down into fourth. He's battling his fellow Finn in Henry Comsey there in fifth position. Oh, a bit of ping problems for the drivers there. Oh, and it's all come to head as Max Newt's come to blows with Henry Comsey there. That was a ping problem for Max Newt there. Henry Comsey in fifth position, only loses 1 position to Nicholas Sharon. There's a fantastic battle here between Michal Bursting, Little Skittle, and Ryan Skywalker. Ryan Skywalker down the inside of Little Skittle, braking very well, keeping himself ahead of the Dutch driver, and now he starts his attack on the Polish one. Touch of oversteer out the corner. John Ford and Andrew Glegg are at the back of the pack now. Andrew Glegg, after a venture in towards the Armco, he's going to be battling his way back through, trying to overtake Max Newt very soon for 9th position. Lukas Gulacek leading this race with a commanding lead of 1.1 seconds. Keith Holt and Michel Rodriguez very close for second position. Ryan Skywalker's found a way past Michal Bursting without too much trouble by the looks of it. And the rest of the drivers just filtering through. Only 11 drivers in this race, so not too much craziness going on in this reverse grid race. Little Skittle and Michal Bursting. That's Michal Bursting down 1 more position. He's into 8th position. Little Skittle up into 7th. Michel Rodriguez will go on board with him as he tries to hunt down Keith Holt for that first place position. He seems to be slowly getting to grips with this car, does Michel Rodriguez. Taking quite a good line there through the first corner. Closing up to Keith Holt very, very slowly. Ryan Skywalker is behind Little Skittle. And he's battling now with Michelle bursting. That must have been a mistake from Ryan Skywalker in the first corner, because he's really dropped back from the drivers he was battling just a minute ago. But now this battle starts with Little Skittle once again. He's already made the move on Little Skittle just a lap ago. We'll see if he can replicate that potentially into the same corner. Locking up the brakes as they're coming through. Poggio Secco there. In towards Casanova. Little Skittle holding on to that position. Defending well from Ryan Skywalker, but going very, very wide once again. Little Skittle wide on the exit of Casanova. Doesn't get too much in the way of Michelle bursting and Max Nuke battling out for 8th position, but he does drop himself well into this battle. And he could see himself losing quite a few positions here if he doesn't get careful. Andrew Glegg doing everything he can to gain some time. Running very, very wide on the exit of Arrabbiata 1 and 2. Little Skittle once again dropping that further. He can't keep it on the track at all. Andrew Glegg moving through on both Max Nude and Little Skittle in 2 corners with absolute ease. Fantastic driving there from Andrew Glegg to take 8th position away. Michelle bursting in 7th is his next target as he tries to move up through the grid. He had a good start and then just got sent into the wall between Borgo San Lorenzo and Casanova. So he's looking to regain all that lost momentum. Currently in 8th position, Nicholas Sharon and Michelle Rodriguez. And I can tell you exactly what happened there, because I saw Nicholas Sharon go ahead of Michelle Rodriguez, and then I cut to him and he was off the circuit, which means he's almost definitely outbraked himself into the final corner there. Gone very wide, taken a venture onto the sandpit. And now he's lost 2 positions. Henry Comsey moving up into 4th position. From last on the grid, this is a fantastic, fantastic drive from Henry Comsey. Nothing less than we'd expect. Keith Holt very wide. Keith Holt very wide in the first corner there. Losing 2 positions to Henry Comsey and Michelle Rodriguez. Potentially Nicholas Sharon as well. He's going to try and hold that inside line, but thinks better of it. Drops back behind Nicholas Sharon, and unfortunate for Keith is there as he was running very well in 2nd position. Just locked up his brakes into the first corner and loses out on 3 positions, which promotes Michelle Rodriguez in 2nd, Henry Comsey into 3rd. Henry Comsey on for a win and a podium. This would be a fantastic return to the Track Time Community Race Series for Henry, if you can pull this one off. Michelle Bursting and Andrew Glegg are still quite tight here for 7th position. Ryan Skywalker's rejoining the circuit. Ryan Skywalker, the South African driver, still struggling to keep this car on the road. He's just ahead of these guys now. Takes a venture off the circuit, loses a lot of time. Andrew Glegg up the inside of Michelle Bursting out of Arrabbiata 2. Tries to make the move stick, but just understeers on the exit. Isn't able to make it happen. Braking deep. Michelle Bursting locks up his brakes, go very wide. Through Scapiria, into Pelagio. Oh, John Ford and Max Nuke come to blows. Max Nuke's round in the gravel trap. Oh, Michelle Bursting as well. You know what? I take one look away from the screen and the drivers are just falling off the circuit. Michelle Bursting very, very wide there. Coming through Karen Xiao, and he's now into 9th position now. Ryan Skywalker and Andrew Glegg battling it out here for 6th position. Whoa, what's that from John Ford? Goodness me. Him and Michelle Bursting battling away for 8th position into Corin Xiao. Michelle Bursting potentially just pit manoeuvring John Ford there. And John Ford into the gravel on the final corner. And well off the back of 8th position now. He's got a lot of work ahead of him if he wants to pick up some major points here. Especially in the absence of Nathan Older. And that leaves us with one big battle. And that's this one. The battle for the lead. It's about to come to a head here as Henry Comsey tries to make the move around the outside of Michelle Rodriguez. Can he pull this off? Surely not. Henry Comsey round the outside of Michelle Rodriguez and Lucas Gulicek. Are you kidding me? Henry Comsey, what a move. Round the outside of Michelle Rodriguez. Michelle Rodriguez messes up, gets in his own head, goes very, very wide on the exit of Borgo San Lorenzo. Lucas Gulicek just didn't even see it coming from absolutely nowhere. Henry Comsey into 1st position. And here comes Nicholas Sharon on Lucas Gulicek. He's getting absolutely gobbled up by these drivers. He's part of a 1-2 sandwich right now. The drivers that started 1-2 in the first race looking to finish the second race in just the same way. Nicholas Sharon looking for any way past Lucas Gulicek he can. Unable to find a way past quite yet. Lucas Gulicek defending very well in through Corin Xiao. Nicolas Sharon running very wide, trying to switch back, get a bit of power out of this corner, and then carry that through the Biondetti 1 and 2. Lifting into Biondetti 1. Lifting into Biondetti 2. Losing time to Lukas Gulicek ahead. Lukas Gulicek now can look forward, trying to take a position away from Henry Comsey. He doesn't have to look backwards quite so much if he can put some gaps between himself and Nicolas Sharin, but it's not going to help him. Taking suboptimal lines like that, around the final corner they go. And now the long run down towards the first corner for these three drivers. Two drivers very close behind them. That's Michel Rodriguez and Keith Holt battling over fourth position. Henry Comsey with a bit of daylight between himself and Lukas Gulicek here. 6 minutes 30 seconds to go in this race. Lukas Gulicek with a big slap of oversteer in the first corner there. Managing to style it out. Doesn't lose a whole lot of time to Nicolas Sharin behind. Keeping the Polish driver at bay for now. Michel Rodriguez and Keith Holt are coming very, very close here for fourth position. Keith looking to regain the positions that he lost with that incident that was of his own making earlier on. Oh, ahead of them, Nicolas Sharin and Lukas Gulicek now side by side. Looks like Lukas Gulicek might have gone a little bit wide there before Borgo San Lorenzo. And he's still trying to defend this position against Nicolas Sharin. Keeps defending, keeps losing time to Henry Comsey in the lead of this race. Henry Comsey running away with it. 2.5 seconds between himself and the drivers behind. Fantastic racing from the Finnish drivers. If you can take home 2 wins tonight, that would be incredible. Michel Rodriguez and Keith Holt still battling out for fourth position as well. Michel Rodriguez with a bit of upper hand on Keith Holt though. Putting a half a second between himself and the Austrian driver behind. And then Lukas Gulicek and Nicolas Sharin also battling out for second position. The drivers behind just kind of filtering through. Here comes Nicolas Sharin. A nose up the inside, a body up the inside, a full car up the inside, and he's through on Lukas Gulicek. Fantastic move into Correntiel hairpin. Exactly how you need to do it. Lukas Gulicek broke a little bit too deep, understeered around the corner, went very wide. Nicolas Sharin, the Polish driver, into second position, and now he sets his sight forward for Henry Comsey. He's going to try and open up a gap between himself and Lukas Gulicek. He's going to try and close that gap between himself and Henry Comsey and take the lead of this race away from the Finnish driver. For just another 5 minutes remaining, there's definitely time for Nicolas Sharin to close that gap. But he's really got to get his head down and not look back. The gap's opening up a little bit again. The drivers just filtering through slowly, slowly, slowly. In these Quattros at Mugello. Certainly not cars that are made for this circuit. And it's certainly giving us a... well, it's given us a race, I can say that much. Little Skittles in the pits. Potentially damaged. Potentially he's had enough. John Ford and Michal Burstin are very close here. 4th position. John Ford looking to try and regain some of the positions that he lost earlier on. Breaking deep right up behind Michal Burstin. Gives him a love tap. Michal Burstin very, very wide on Borgo San Lorenzo. I think he was assisted into that by John Ford, but John Ford through with just the slightest of love taps on Michal. He takes 8th position away from the Polish driver and doesn't look back. Michel Rodriguez and Lukas Gulicek coming together there through Correntiel hairpin. Nicolas Sharin was very wide. Looks to be a mistake of his own doing. Once again, the Polish driver dropping out of second position. He's down in 4th position again, and he's got it all ahead of him. Certainly won't be catching up to Henry Comsey before the end of this race. This race win looks to be sorted for Henry Comsey if he can just keep it on the track. Michel Rodriguez through on Lukas Gulicek with a fantastic drift manoeuvre, but he's losing a lot more time as he comes through the final corner now. And Lukas Gulicek is going to start his attack on the Swedish driver ahead of him. Look at the speed that he's got on him, going down the start-finish straight, ducks out to the outside line. He's going to try and take Michel Rodriguez on the start-finish straight. He does, gets his full car ahead of him before the first corner's even begun. And into the braking zone they come. Michelle Rodriguez trying to dive down the inside of Lucas Gulukcek, but brakes very well. But Lucas Gulukcek braking far too deep. Goes off the circuit. He's into the gravel trap, and Michelle Rodriguez is back through in second position. And Nicholas Sharon is up into third because Lucas Gulukcek, what were you thinking? Outbroke himself completely off into the gravel trap and now down into fourth position for the Czech driver. And well, second position just falls out of his hand like sand. And that's how things have settled. 2 minutes plus 1 lap to go in this race. Keith Holt in 5th position, Lucas Gulukcek in 4th, Nicholas Sharon in 3rd, Michelle Rodriguez in 2nd. And then this man, Henry Comsey, in 1st position. Interesting line through Arbiata 1 and 2 there, Henry Comsey, but it doesn't really matter when you're that far in the lead. 5 seconds the gap between himself and Michelle Rodriguez, so he can kind of take whatever line he wants right now. Especially in these off-road cars. Even if you go off the circuit, you don't lose out as much as you potentially would with other race cars, as it can just keep the foot down and keep the traction on the grass. Henry Comsey evading the curb there. And cutting the track, some would argue. Lucas Gulukcek and Keith Holt coming to blows here. Lucas Gulukcek defending like a lion, trying to keep Keith Holt behind him. Keith Holt on the outside, Lucas Gulukcek on the inside. Into the final corner they go. Still battling. Onto the start-finish straight. Keith Holt ducking up underneath Lucas Gulukcek, trying to take the position away from him. He's going to be alongside him as they're coming down the start-finish straight. Keith Holt has a full car alongside him now. They're exactly side by side as they come in towards the braking zone for the first corner. Lucas Gulukcek, though, braking a little bit deeper. Nicholas Sharon is through Michelle Rodriguez. That's because Michelle Rodriguez is dropped right back. He must have had an incident of his own in the first corner. Lucas Gulukcek and Keith Holt still side by side coming out the first corner. Lucas Gulukcek holds onto that 4th place position just ahead of Keith Holt. Ryan Skowker not far behind, looking to pick up the pieces if these two come together. 10 seconds on the clock. This is the penultimate lap for these drivers, and they are battling out once again on the penultimate lap. It seems to be just attracting these battles. Keith Holt, Ryan Skowker, Lucas Gulukcek, all very close for 4th position. Ahead of them, Nicholas Sharon and Michelle Rodriguez still quite close for 2nd position. Lucas Gulukcek running wide there. Keith Holt also running wide. Ryan Skowker trying to pick up something here from this second race. Not the best day of the races for Ryan so far. Out of Savelli, ducks to the inside, but almost oversteers as he tries to take the position away from Keith Holt there. Round Arbiata 1 and 2 is going to try and get up alongside Keith Holt before Arbiata 2, but it's not going to happen as Keith takes a bit of a wider, a bit of a more even line through Arbiata 2 and maintains that position ahead of Ryan Skowker. Ryan Skowker playing it safe and playing it fair this time round. Looking for a nice clean route past Keith Holt. It's very hard to do in these cars. They drive like a boat. Behind Keith Holt once again. The gap well under 1/10. In towards the final corner here. He's going to be braking deep. Ryan Skowker sniffing up the inside. Thinks better of it. He's going to try and get a good exit here onto the back straight, but has to stamp on the brakes once again mid-corner, and that just loses him time. And you can see Keith Holt with the acceleration pulling away from Ryan Skowker down the start-finish straight. And Ryan Skowker, when we jump on board, you can see just isn't gaining any time whatsoever on the driver ahead of him. Absolutely not happening. Pinging off the limiter at the end of the start-finish straight there, Ryan Skowker. On to the final lap. He's got just a few more opportunities to get himself past the Austrian driver and take home a couple more points for himself. Lucas Gulukcek securely in 4th position for now. Keith Holt with an interesting line there. And that leaves him exposed. He runs very, very wide. Loses position to Ryan Skowker now. Ryan Skowker, the South African driver, up into 5th position. And looking to take a position away from Lucas Gulukcek, his friend, in 4th. Out of Borgo San Lorenzo, in towards Casanova. Down the hill, Ryan Skowker just needs to get his lines right, keep the minimum speed up, power out of the corner. And he's going to try and get that outside line on Lucas Gulukcek, but he ends up second-guessing himself, downshifting into Arbiata 1. Trying to duck underneath Lucas Gullicek for Abiata 2. Not happening this time round. Looks to get the switch back as they're coming in towards the chicane once again. Scarparia first. Not the move this time round. Round Pelagio, and then Corin Xiao looks to be the last big overtaking opportunity for Ryan Skywalker. That might have balked him there. Having to stamp on the brakes so he doesn't crash Lucas Gullicek out, and that has dropped him well back from the Czech driver before Corin Xiao has even begun. Henry Kumsey is coming into the final corner. He's surely going to take home this race win. Nicholas Sharon's in second position. A good recovery for the Polish driver, which I have to say comes lucky as other drivers around him have just failed. Final overtaking opportunity for Ryan Skywalker. Sniffs up the inside of Lucas Gullicek, but it's not going to happen this time round. Locks up his brakes, get right up behind the Czech driver. Henry Kumsey crosses the line for first position. He's taking home 2 wins tonight. A fantastic return to the Track Time Community Race Series for the Finnish driver. Nicholas Sharon in second, Michelle Rodriguez in third. Lucas Gullicek just about holds on to fourth position ahead of Ryan Skywalker. Defended very, very well right to the line. Keith Holt in sixth, Andrew Glegg in seventh, and then we got John Ford coming down the start finish straight now. He's going to finish in 8th position. Not the best day at the races for the 2 TKR drivers. Max Newt inherits 9th position on the final corner from Michelle Burston, who looks to have had an incident. Little Skittle's going to finish in 11th position. That's 2 last places for him. After starting on pole, Little Skittle, certainly not driver of the day. Michelle Burston in 10th position. Little Skittle in 11th. Fantastic race. And that's it all over. Henry Kumsey, 2-time race winner tonight. And fantastic going for the Finnish driver, the Iceman. Let's see if we can get a chat with him. Here he is, Henry Comsey, man of the hour. It's been a while since we spoke to you on the stream, but 2 race wins tonight. That's a very good return, mate.
Thank you. It was a nice race.
It was a nice race for you. You were on your own for quite a bit of it, but you seem to... Well, I think it should come as no surprise that you like the Audi Sport Quattro. Have you had much practice with the... Have you had much practice with the car?
Not quite much, actually. I did like 40 laps on the last week, but when I came to the qualifying, I was like, I can't remember anything how this car drives. So it was like a learning curve from the start, because I haven't played Assetto Corsa in a very long time. It's just I've been playing the iRacing and stuff.
Yeah, it's been a while since we've seen you. You've been enhancing your iRating, have you, for a little bit? Is that where you and Max have been?
Yeah, Max is not there, but I have been playing iRacing.
Well, you put the experience to use of driving crap cars, and you drove this one. Somehow you managed to steer it around. The rest of the drivers around you just kind of fell off. Nicholas Sharin almost challenged you, and but he just kind of fell off. Did you feel nervous when he was attacking?
Yeah, it was kind of surprising when I got to the qualifying. I didn't manage to do my pace what I used to, so it was a little bit like these guys are also in the win contention. But after I got good launch and managed to go first, then it was like tire management all the way, because I noticed the tire wear is quite big on the front left, so I just managed that. And when I see that Nicholas was attacking, it was a little bit nervous, but in the end I just saw that everyone fall off. Well, and Nicholas fortunately spun on the first race.
Yeah, fortunately for you, he spun out, but you managed to just control it from the front. And there's one last thing I want to come to, and it was a fantastic move from you around the outside of Michelle and then up the inside of Lucas Gullicek. How did you manage that one?
Is it on replay?
Yeah, it was. I watched it all happen. I said they were crazy.
Oh, I want to see that, because it was like I was catching Michel, then he was defending the inside, I was going to outside, I think like I brake later and going outside to give the inside to the next one. And then I saw, after we go to the corner, I see I'm a little bit ahead of Michelle, or side by side, and then I see who was in first.
At that point, Guliczek.
Yeah, I saw Gulicek on the sideways, and then he luckily goes to the left side of the track, and I just little bit opened the steering and went to the right side and passed them both. It was a little bit of luck, but it was nice move.
It was a very nice move. I loved watching it. I loved watching it.
Yep.
Well, it's great to talk to you again. Great to hear from you again. Will you be back for any other races?
Maybe. Let's see. Because the surprise is that we came to back with this rate with Max, because we have been driving this car on like 1 or 2 years ago. Wait, it's more. It's like 3 years ago on the VSS. There was like this race on the Pikes Peak, and we like grinded that race in day and night, and we managed like to pull almost 1 minute faster than anybody else. And we was like swapping positions after all day. The event, how long it was, swapping all the day. Like once I was 1 second faster than Max, and other way. It continues to the right to the end. And while we was doing that, we like fine-tuned the setup for this car to what we liked it best. And I think that's the key to drive this car, to have a really, really good setup.
I think so. I think a lot of drivers struggled with understeering. But it went to good use. And yeah, I think you raced very well. It's great to hear you. Hopefully, we see you back. We see you back soon. But no, I won't keep you too much longer. I'll jump in general in a minute. But thank you for joining us, Henry, on the stream.
Thank you. Hope you see you soon again.
See you soon, Henry.
Bye.
There we go, Henry Comsey, race 1 and race 2 winner. What a night for the Finnish Iceman. Well, that's it for tonight from Mugello. Audi Sport Quattros have given us 2 races, and that's all I'll say about them. Next week, we've got Bahrain in the night in the LMP cars. That should be exciting. Hope to see you all there. Hopefully we get a few more drivers for that one. But until then, I've been Adam Chapman. Thank you for joining us on the Track Time Community Race Series, and I'll see you next time. Ta-ra.